And roll call. Councilor Manson? Here. Councilor Scheer? Oh my God. Director of Financial Services, Lee. Our CAO, Tyler. Our Executive Assistant, Taylor. Our Councilor Joan Ross. And Deputy Warden Matthew Ross, and myself, Linda Gregory. At this time, I'd ask us all to pause to seek guidance. And George, did you read the missed statement last time? Or was it Peter?
It was Peter.
Okay, it's your turn, please.
My turn.
Well, I had in my head it was you, then I got thinking it wasn't.
Mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate new civil services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all.
Thank you. Under the administrative and procedure items, approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions anyone needs to see?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Is there a disclosure of conflict of issues? Seeing no conflict, we will continue. Under delegation for presentations, we have Yolanda, am I pronouncing it right? Yolanda, okay, sorry. Yolanda Donaldson. Remember Them Project. Would I have someone to move?
I'll move it, Yolanda.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Just want to push on your button.
There's a little button there.
And Peter, do you have yours on? Just so you can be heard after the fact.
This will work.
Okay, please.
I'd like to begin by thanking you all to accept me to do this presentation in front of council. It is a project that's near and dear to my heart. I've been working on this project, Remember Them, for 2 years now. It was initiated by one of our Korean veterans, Bob Guerin, who has sadly passed since. He wanted to do something to remember the men and women who served in the Canadian Armed Forces, died as a result, and are buried abroad. During Remembrance Week, we all go to the grave sites and we put flags on the veterans' graves. But with the people that are buried abroad, we cannot do that. And he felt we needed to do something. So we focused on a picture. And we figured that if we put a picture of a cemetery, especially for school children, it would give an impact. They would realize how many graves there actually are in these military cemeteries. So this particular cemetery is Benny-sur-Mer in France. It is a Canadian military cemetery. There are 2,049 graves in there. 2,044 are Canadian, mainly from the 3rd Canadian Division during D-Day and the first stages of the Battle of Normandy. And this is one cemetery out of 23,000 military cemeteries or war memorials in 150 countries around the world. That is very powerful. So we added as well maple leaves, the words Remember Them, and a poppy so that the students would actually be able to recognize national symbols and things that portray remembrance. Around the picture, we put local soldiers that are buried abroad. This particular picture has locals all from Digby County, from Metagan to Bear River. They are in the shape of a circle because they represent the dead man's penny. The dead man's penny is a memorial plaque that was given to the families who lost a loved one while serving under the British or the British Empire during World War I. So Canada fit under the British Empire. So this particular picture not only would be powerful with just the cemetery and those pictures, but the stories of these men that are there are even more powerful. We focused on World War I, World War II, and the Korean War, because after that, most of their bodies were repatriated back to Canada. In this particular picture, you do not have any Korean veterans. You have 2 World War I, and the remainder are all World War II. The only reason it's not that I could not find any Korean veterans, because you do have some that are buried abroad, but there were no pictures and very little information to go on. And with this picture comes all the detailed information on every single one of these soldiers, who they were, their service number, their regiment, their age at enlistment, where they enlisted, the color of their hair, their height, their family, and what happened to them, basically. It's a very detailed information. I'm just going to give you a brief snippet of who these people are on your picture. I'm going to start top row, my side. Herbert Scott Coslin, World War I. He was a private in the 2003rd Battalion, as well as the 18th Reserve Battalion and the 44th Battalion, born in Danvers. As part of the Battle of for Hill 70, his battalion was ordered into Lens, which was a coal mining town a few kilometers north of Vimy Ridge. They were forced to retreat and called the operation off, ending the Battle of Hill 70. He was reported missing after action. He had been taken prisoner of war. The German prisoner of war records indicated that he had suffered a bullet wound to his right eye. The records also indicate he was transferred to Camp 2 Munster, which is where he died of tuberculosis. He is buried in Cologne Southern Cemetery in Germany, and he was only 26 years old. The ages of these young soldiers, it's incredible. The Yarmouth County one, there was one that was only 17, so they were not even old enough to enlist. Next to him, we have Joseph Ambroise Comeau, World War II, a private in North Nova Scotia Highlanders, born in Lower Soniaville. He served overseas after disembarking in Northwest Europe. He was reported missing, believed drowned, and full confirmation arrived that he had been killed atop of a dike in Leer, Germany. He's buried in Holton Canadian War Cemetery in the Netherlands, and he was 20. He also had a brother, Joseph Albert, who served as a stopper with the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve during World War II. Next over would be Clifford Dennis Dugas, World War II, Lance Corporal with the West Nova Scotia Regiment, born in Doucetteville. He deployed overseas in 1942 and joined the 1st Canadian Signals Reinforcement Unit. After he qualified in the regiment Signals, he departed for England for the Mediterranean ahead of the Sicily landings during Operation Husky. He served in Sicily and Italy. He was killed while serving on the front line during the Italian campaign, during the push through the Gustav line. He is buried in Casino War Cemetery in Italy. He was 20. And the last one at the top would be Stephen Felbert Sabin, World War I. He was a corporal with the 219th Battalion, as well as the 85th Battalion, born in New Tuscan. He was killed in action south of Passchendaele on October 30th, 1917. His name is on at Meningate War Memorial in Belgium, which means he was missing, because Meningate only has the names of the missing. He was 19 years old. The column closest to me, the top one, is Harold Alexander McGowan, World War II, a private from the Canadian Scottish Regiment, Royal Canadian Infantry Corps, born in Weymouth. He was killed in action while serving with the B Company of the Canadian Scottish Regiment near Caen, France. He's buried in this cemetery, Denis-sur-Mer, and he was 27. Harold had 2 brothers who served during World War II, Stuart in the Provost Corps of the Canadian Army, as well as Clarence in the Merchant Navy. Down below him, we have Louis-Philippe Thériault, World War II, a flying officer in the number 414 Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force, born in Digby. On August 1943, he participated in Operation Rhubarb, flying a Mustang 1 from the RAF Ashford in Kent. The squadron was flying defensive operations over the English Channel, and while on operation over Paris, he successfully shot down a Ju-88 before his aircraft struck an obstruction and crashed. He was initially listed as missing and later confirmed killed in action when he failed to return to Ashford. He is buried in Rowe Communal Cemetery in Saint-Émard in France. He was 24. The last one on this column would be Elwood Leroy Stevens, World War II, a pilot officer. Service in the 102 Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force, born in Bear River. After serving in Canada, he deployed to the United Kingdom, where he joined the 102 Royal Air Force Squadron in the UK. He was the wireless operator aboard Halifax MZ-796 aircraft on a raid over Hanover, Germany. The aircraft was hit by anti-aircraft fire and exploded in midair. 2 crew members survived and were taken prisoners of war. Stevens was killed and buried together with 4 other members at Merency Cemetery. And then they were reburied. All 5 crew members were reburied in Hanover Military Cemetery in Germany. He was 23. The column furthest from me, Lawrence Valentine Frost, right at the top, World War II, an able seaman on the HMCS Marguerite of the Royal Canadian Navy Reserve. He was born in Westport. In October of 1940, the HMCS Marguerite left Londonderry, Northern Ireland, for Canada with a 5-ship convoy, and 2 days later it was lost in a collision with the freighter Port Fairy. 142 members of her ship crew were lost, including Frost, and even though he's not necessarily buried abroad, they never found his body. So his name is in the memorial at Point Pleasant Park in Halifax. He was 22. He also had a brother, Garfield Frost, Eugene Frost, served in the Black Watch of Canada and died in October of 1944, and he is buried at Bergen-op Zoom War Cemetery in the Netherlands. And he was 22. Glendon Dwight Raymond, World War II. He was a private with North Nova Scotia Highlanders. He was born in Tiggville. He sailed overseas with the North Nova Scotia Highlanders and disembarking in the UK, where he served in England, until he was deployed to Normandy in June of 1944. He was killed in D-Day, in the action on D-Day, during the Allied landings in Normandy. He is buried in Benny-sur-Mer, this particular cemetery. He was 21. Joseph Melbourne Saulnier, World War II. He was a naval seaman with the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve on the HMCS Regina. He was born in Meteghan. He served aboard the Regina, and he was the first to sight an Italian submarine during an engagement, which earned him a mention in dispatches for his role. In 1944, while assisting survivors of a torpedoed merchant ship, the HMCS Regina was struck by a German Nat torpedo from New 667 and sank within seconds, killing the crew, including Saulnier. He is buried in St. Maron Churchyard, Cornwall, UK. He was 24. So those are the stories of the men on this project. Now, this project is not a fundraiser, has never been. The picture is for sale. There is no money that comes to the Wedgefoot region for this. It is a remembrance project in all shape and form. So this picture itself is laminated, printed, laminated, and glued on Dye-Bond material, which is a fire-resistant material, which can be placed in community halls as well as schools. It comes in 2 sizes. This is the smallest one because it's much easier to transport. This one in particular is 30 inches wide by 22 inches high and sells for $125 plus tax. The large one is 36 inches by 26 inches high and sells for $175 plus tax. And I would say the large one looks identical to the big pictures you have behind you here, that size, that particular size. We do recommend, of course, the larger size because it's more visible, and if you really want to see the picture, it's much easier to see it. It can be hung using mirror hangers, which is what I noticed you have hung those. They are so simple, they don't distract. I don't recommend framing it because normally a framer puts a piece of paper behind the frame, so that would ruin the idea that it's fire resistant, right? So this is not my first picture that I have worked on. I started off in Yarmouth County, and the municipalities have purchased some for all of their community halls. The town of Yarmouth has as well. It is in all of the schools in Yarmouth County. Then I worked on one specific to Stony Island. They wanted one for their church, and that one was distributed there. My third one was Shelburne County. All the local people from Shelburne, from county line to county line, and that one is in all of the schools as well as the municipalities and the towns in Shelburne. And this is my fourth project, Digby County. This particular pictures was delivered this morning to all of your schools in Digby County, have them now. So my request here today, I feel this is a very important project. It's a remembrance project. It's not something that we haul out for Remembrance Day and put again in the closet until the next Remembrance Day. It's something that people should remember year-round, the sacrifices that these men and women have done. And my request to you tonight would be that you consider purchasing some of these for your buildings in your municipality, maybe this particular building. And I think I've pretty much covered anything, unless you have questions.
Is there any questions? I think it's very well done. We will not make a decision tonight. We never make a decision on the night of the presentation.
Yep.
But you've done a lot of work, and I'm impressed. George?
The information you have about each, is that available for?
It comes with the picture. So in the front here, the first page I have attached is all that I just talked about, the picture before I went into the information about the men. And then the rest is that detailed information it comes with the picture. And we usually recommend that you put it in a little binder somewhere near, so if people want to look and read the information, it's right there available.
Any other questions?
Really good job.
Thank you. It has been a very, very rewarding project. Yeah, very rewarding. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you.
Take your time. I was debating how I could just make it legal.
Pardon me?
I was debating how I could just make it legal.
She needs it in.
I needed to present to the town at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And then to the Clare Municipality further later in the week or next week. Let's see if I can show you this. The purchase of I take all the orders, put the orders in, I deliver. The money goes directly to the company who prints these pictures. Usually when I deliver, I bring the invoice with me. And so you have nothing to do but make that decision whether you want some. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Can we just picture work? With me, something like that. That means a lot. The research that we need to do. I'm so impressed.
She said they have been delivered to all the schools.
Yeah. What school be asking us if we purchase for any of our municipality buildings and probably some legions. So we will put that on an upcoming agenda. and maybe go on policy to discuss. That's
Yeah.
okay with everyone?
Yep.
The next is approval of the minutes of April the 28th, 2026. Did anyone find any errors or omissions?
Motion to approve the minutes of April 28th, 2026.
Your second. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. The CAO report, just remind you, next week, 26th, there's no meeting. June the 2nd, final on policy. June the 9th, committee of the whole. June 16th, no meeting. The 23rd, council. The 30th, no meeting. July the 7th, no meeting. And July the 14th, no meeting. July the 21st, audit. July the 28th, council. August the 4th, no meeting. Just to remind you, in August, we'll have a committee of the whole, but we'll have no council. So, in case anyone wasn't thinking, I mean, we haven't gone that far, but it's good to remember so that if you're making plans. The capital projects are on the back page. Did anyone have any questions to our CAO? Okay.
Madam, on the 23rd of June, I will be.
23rd of June.
I'll be away.
Oh, okay. Now, okay, that was our update. Any action items? Financial report. We're awaiting budget approval. So, we will be doing budget approval further down. I believe, am I seeing that right? Yeah. So, we will go on from there. Our standing committee items, bylaw and policy, the Calvary Temple funding request. And I thought it was a motion. Okay. So, could I have someone move the motion, please?
I'll move the council approve Calvary Temple funding request in the amount of $10,000 and provide a letter of support.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next, committee of the whole recommendations. Peter Islands Lighthouse. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move the council approve the recommendation of the Heritage Advisory Committee to install hardy plank siding on the Peters Island Lighthouse as recommended by the Island's Historical Society in recognition of challenging environmental conditions on the island and the need for durable, cost-effective exterior material.
Is there a seconder? I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Youth grants.
I will move that council provide a youth grant to Kennedy Label from the Islands Consolidated School in the amount of $250 for the NSSA Provincial Conference.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next, the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service Association Awards.
I'll move the council write a letter to the Plimpton and Gilbert's Cove Fire Department letting them know that the Municipality of Digby will participate in the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service Awards for firefighters between 10 and 29 years of service as requested.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next, for property assessed clean energy PACE program.
I'll move the council agree to end the property assessment clean energy program as of November 10, 2026, due to the fact that the clean energy financing will no longer be administered.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Windmills.
I move that council agree to decommission both windmills due to the increase in breakdowns and expenses.
Is there a seconder? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries. Next, under business items, tax rate resolution.
Just need to give you a bit of an update.
Sure.
We get into approving the resolution.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys have seen, I think I have a printed copy there on your desk. It has been included in the package, so I'll go through it fairly quickly. You've heard most of it in the last couple meetings. So page number 1 of the report is our statement of estimates. This basically just explains that our budget has been prepared with consideration of the vision of municipal council and their strategic priorities. The next page, you guys would have seen this at a meeting not too long ago. I guess it was in April. Updated copy of your strategic plan. That's included in your package there for reference. Next page basically shows you what your tax revenue looks like. Outlines that the budget has been prepared with $1.30 rate for residential and $1.85 for commercial. This year's SOE is presenting a 9% increase in revenues and expenses from last year. And our tax revenue has increased 7.91 this year. Last year it was 4.41. Next page. This just basically outlines our budget highlights and lets you know basically what areas of our strategic plan some of our budget items will fit into. I won't get into that in detail. Next page gives you a budget overview. So the next 2 pages actually, the first one is expenditures and the second one is revenues. And it basically breaks it down by percentage as to which category the entire budget fits. So this one's the expense side of things. And then you have our revenues here. You can see how the tax revenue pretty much takes up 76% of the chart. Next page. So this is our mandatory expenses. You can see the education, RCMP, assessment services, and regional library make up all of our mandatory expenses, which basically equate to 32% of our entire budget. It's just a quick chart you guys are familiar with, just to show the taxpayer if on average you owned a $150,000 home. This is how your taxes would look, and each category and how much you would end up spending per category. This sums up our revenues and expenses. So you can see here our revenues are $14,006,749. I won't review this line by line. It is broken down here in the next few pages. So you see our tax revenue here. Proposed budget is up by $688,254 this year. As we mentioned, the tax revenue was up 7.1. Our cap rate is set higher than it was last year, which does give us additional revenue there. You see your new unified sewer rates that were decided on this year. $300 for connected services, $150 for frontage, and $150 for a one-time connection fee. Next category is our grant in lieu of taxes. This one's up only by $10,761 this year. This one's just a fluctuation in the assessments. With our commercial going high, last year it had actually been in the negative, so this gives us a bit of an increase here. Services provided to other governments. So we are down $11,000 this year. That would mainly be attributed to the town of Digby pulling out of KTA, King's Transit, or Title Transit, I guess it is now. And then we also no longer have our agreement with Claire for the wastewater sewer treatment plant. With that one, they have found their own employees, so they didn't have the service anymore. Sales of service. We are up $234,973 over last year's budget. This one would mostly be attributed to our EPR revenue. Last year we would have only had 4 months of that revenue, and this year we'll have a full year. So that one would pretty much make up the $204,000. Revenues from owned sources. So this one we're actually down $97,562 since last budget year. This one is basically the decrease in the wind turbine revenue that we would have adjusted, knowing that we are looking to decommission that later this year. Conditional transfers from other governments, so we're up 32,790 this year. This one's basically the Nova Scotia grant in lieu, the Nova Scotia Power grant in lieu, with our commercial going up, their grant in lieu basically went up about the same amount. That worked out pretty good. Last year it actually had gone down, so we are recovering some from that. Conditional transfers from other government were down 88,379 this year from last year. This one, we did have the project for the biogas generator, and then we did project some money for the solar park grants last year, so that's why this one is down. And then transfers from our own funds and reserves, so we are up 308,233 this year. This one you can mostly attribute to the gas tax transfer that we will be using if this Weymouth Sideway project goes forward, so that's planned for here. And then you see the list here of the other transfers that are scheduled. You've seen this list in the prior presentation, so I won't go through them one by one. That's basically a quick wrap up of revenues. Does anybody have any questions before I scoot into expenses? No? Okay. So again, this is just a summary of the next few pages, so it won't go over that. Expenses, we have general government services, so we are up 201,000 here. Assessment increases by 70%, and then we do have our low income tax rebate for any family that is 34,000 or below. They could be eligible for $350 to $600. We have our protective services here. We're up 424,811. Basically, here's the list here. We do have some extra bonuses, I guess, for the fire departments this year. So we have $135,000 planned for the fire service modernization transition. We're continuing with the 60% insurances. And we've also added the water voucher program in this one, and that's $75,000. So that kind of brings you up to your 424,811 increase. Then we have our transportation services. We are up 137,000 here. With this one, there's a couple different things going on. So we have the Weymouth sidewalk expenditure side of it in here. And we also have a decrease with our fuel purchases. We don't have to buy any avgas or jet fuel this year. So between the two, that's your 137,314. Environmental health services, we're up 21,544. So basically, that's not really too much of a difference with our garbage percent, our normal cost of living. We have environmental development services here, up 184,618. So with this one, we've added in for this year the climate change mitigation and adaptation plan. We also have built in here the decommissioning of the wind turbine. And then with this one, we don't have the solar and concrete project, so that brings it down a little bit. Recreation and cultural services, we're up 87,000. And here you see the list here. We have the rest budgeted for our splash park completion. We have some projects for the trails, rail bed, and balancing rock. And then we have the lighthouses and our Haines Lake Waterfront property project from last year that we're planning to do this year. And then with our education, we're up 85,000. There's a 4% increase this year. Smallest we've seen in a bit. Last year was 10.9, and the year before that was 11.4. So that was really good this year. And then financing and transfers, we're up 20,524. That's just, you can see the list here. It's not off by much from last year, and that kind of balances our budget. Does anybody have any questions on the expense side of things? I did leave a paper there on your desk. You'll see there was only one change since the last budget that I presented to you, and I did mention this in the last meeting that that protective services grant for the fire departments, that's going directly to the Fire Association. So I made that one adjustment. So if you are actually looking at the expenses and revenue side of things in your package, that's been moved. from there, if you don't have questions, we have to do the tax rate resolution.
Can I get a motion? It's a lengthy one. We have it up on the screen.
Trying to get there.
Can I get a motion for the tax rate resolution?
It also should be the last page of your booklet.
Go ahead.
I can read. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm chair now, so yeah.
He's chair.
So, be it resolved that pursuant to the authority contained in section 72 of the Municipal Government Act, the Council of the Municipality of the District of Digby hereby adopts statement of estimates in the amount of $14,006,749 as presented for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2027. Further be it resolved that a commercial rate pursuant to section 72(6)(a) of the Municipal Government Act be established at $1.85 for $100 of assessment. A residential and resource rate pursuant to section 72(6)(b) the Municipal Government Act be established at $1.30 per $100 of assessment. And further be it resolved that the following area rates pursuant to section 75(2) be established for the provision of fire protection, street lighting, and sidewalk maintenance. Should I go each of them?
Yep.
Sidewalk maintenance, Conway sidewalk, RCM 4.5 cents per $100 assessment. Mount Pleasant, RMM 40.5 cents per $100 of assessment. Street lighting, Weymouth Falls light rate, ARL 4.07 cents per $100 assessment, and the same rates of assessment for Bear River light rate, Digby Neck light rate, Barton light rate, Culloden light rate, Smith's Cove light rate, Weymouth North, with respective codes ARL 1, ARL 3, ARL 5, ARL 7, ARL 8, and ARL 9. Fire protection, Digby Neck Fire District, ARF 2, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Smith's Cove Fire District, ARF 3, 6 cents per $100 of assessment. Freeport Fire District, ARF 4, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Tiverton Fire District, ARF 5, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Westport Fire District, ARF 6, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Barton Brighton Fire District, ARF 7, 10 cents per $100 of assessment. Clinton Fire District, ARF 8, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Weymouth Fire District, ARF 9, 10 cents per $100 of assessment. Bear River Fire District, ARF B, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Digby Fire District, ARF B, 5 cents per $100 of assessment. Southfield Danvers Fire District, ARF 0, 15 cents per $100 of assessment. Further be it resolved that the municipality will bill and collect on behalf of the commissioners of the Village of Weymouth, Village of Tiverton, Village of Freeport, and the Village of Westport an amount as determined by each commission at duly convened meetings pursuant to the authority granted by the Municipal Government Act and policy number 2500-01, municipal tax collection. The Municipal Council hereby sets the interest rate on overdue taxes at the rate of 15% per annum and an interest rate of 10% per annum be established for overpayment on taxes due to assessment appeals. This is to certify that the foregoing is a true copy of a resolution adopting the tax rates for the municipality of the District of Digby passed the 19th day of May 2026.
Hey, I actually think your mic was off. Could you start from the top?
You read it.
You have a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Back to you, Woody.
Thank you very much.
Just to let you know as well, we haven't done this in the past, but we're going to do a one-page budget highlights document in the next couple of weeks that we can post on social media and our website, just announcing that we've approved our operating budgets, highlights for the next year.
So this was the operating budget approval, right?
This is the tax rate.
Oh, that's actually, okay, now we're gonna have the operating budget approval.
A motion to approve the operating budget of 2026-27.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Sandy Cove.
Question.
Excuse me?
Some of the charts that are in the documents, are we allowed to use those publicly?
Yes, they're on our
Because I
website.
thought it would be nice
Yeah,
when we're doing home show.
Yeah, I would hope it has some of that, because
Taylor can make sure we do.
I've already,
We included that in the document we did last year, that PowerPoint presentation. We can update them with the new charts.
because I've already had a couple of people say, what does the municipality do for us? And they live in the town, and I explained that they should go talk to the mayor. But I did tell them that.
In the discussion, that email that we had recently about what we would like to actually, or move from the.
You sent an email, yep.
Yeah, so I was thinking we could put those charts there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I like that.
We could use that little.
You guys are gonna have so much stuff.
Pamphlet
right on the table. Well, I like the idea of bringing that glass thing that we have in the back that you can put.
Taylor can put that over her shoulder.
Yeah.
Tuck that right
Oh,
on.
there's gonna be not.
I'm available to help with it. Does anybody have a truck?
Well, we'll use what we have. He had no reason to retire until after this.
Selfish.
Yeah, very selfish. The next, Sandy Cove Conservative Community Grant Request. And
So as you guys may remember, they gave a presentation recently.
Yes.
So this is coming before you again for their financial request.
so how are you feeling, people? Council?
No, I think it's a good idea. I think it's one of those initiatives that are, local grassroots and, improving the life of people locally. I think it has a real impact. On the amounts, I don't know if 2,000 is really the right call at this point. Perhaps go with 1,500 or something like that, but or that I think we should support.
I think it's too early right at the moment. I didn't really get the makeup of the calendar and the website. There's so many free apps nowadays on the internet to do a project like this. Facebook and Instagram being one of them. I think they're going down the right path. I just don't see a good use of community taxpayers' money towards an initiative that can be done free and most shareable. Already, your constituents are already on a platform on the internet right now. So to build a separate website from that, it's going to be hard to draw them to it. If you take what you have now for social media and use the free entities there, there's an events page, there's a calendar. It's already set up. It's free of charge. Some of that stuff can be built now. Get the events flowing, then come to us when you have some of these big events happening. You may need some help down the road, and I'm all for that. But as far as building a calendar and a website, it's kind of 2005. All the apps are there for you now. I think they have to build on that. That's just where I'm going with it. That's how I saw it.
I see it as a good initiative from the community. They've already been out there and they've got 8 or 10 or 12 different groups or whatever kind of come together, working together, and instead of maybe duplicating each other, if they're talking and working together, then maybe they can move ahead on some of the other projects. At least they're not gonna be maybe duplicated. If they're not gonna use it for a website, maybe they can use it for something else. I'd go along with Peter. It's not 2,000, 1,500.
Yeah.
I'm clean too. Having kind of done similar things in past life, there's already existing software there through Microsoft and everywhere else that does that same sort of thing free. You pay for the platform or whatever, and that's it. It does take time to set it up, but it's a shareable calendar that everybody can kind of put their own thing in. To me, 2,000 is a lot to set something like that up.
What were you saying, Mrs. Jones?
What 1,000? Just if you had to pay somebody time to set it up for you, the software and that is there. It's just
See, I was thinking fun. See, don't even touch me.
No,
I've heard all different levels. I think we need
You were
to come
saying
together for something. Pardon me?
You were thinking 500?
500.
Oh.
Because I was actually, like, I knew that you could get the programs free, but I was thinking you had to pay someone. Someone's gonna have to do it. And I suppose it might be up to 1,000, but it would never be more than 1,000. I agree with you on that. That's why I was sort of lowballing at 500. So what do people want to do?
I was thinking you have to get somebody interested, you have to go up, not down, sort of. That's why I suggested 1,000.
So is someone gonna make a motion?
When like since we have 1,500 and 2,000 or something, average at 1,250.
For me.
No.
Yeah, the motion, whoever makes the motion, it will either be defeated or passed.
Yes, just before we vote on that, I think the point that there are existing solutions for calendar of this true. But I think the main value there is they're trying to create some integration, right? They're trying to integrate this with the Digby tourism website and all these things. And that's the seed money for them to start a website that later will grow into a Sandy Cove community website, right? Like Brown Foundation has and all that, right? So like a local community website. I think the calendar is more like the excuse to have like to secure a domain and then get traffic in and then start getting the ball rolling on other things like news and maybe social connections, maybe a little store and these other things.
It does not cost much to secure a domain these days.
No, the money I wouldn't say is mostly going to securing the domain. I think it's mostly into the integration. There's a lot of volunteer work there. I think
They've already got $3,000, so I mean, really, I'm a no because I think, wait, it's okay to say no, and when you really need the money, we'll be here to help you. There'll be money in our community grants to help you. Right now, you have $3,000, and I'm guessing, well, Linda's even overshooting 500, but 250 is going to get this set up, right? So use your 3,000, set up your free app, and come to us when events start happening. You're going to need a big ass later on down the road once you get going. So for me, they have the money. They don't need it. They already have it. They just, I would just wait. And that's where I'm at with it.
Did they say they had 3,000?
It says right here on the thing.
Yeah.
They're just looking for 2,000 from us. 5,000 is a lot to start a project that, like I said, is basically you can start doing nothing.
That's why I figured that 500 would be.
Well, I mean, you can if you want. It's okay to say no and say come back at a later time, and then we'll have money in our community grants. $500 isn't going to do anything. We've got $3,000. They might as well wait.
They could stage it.
The problem is the way we do our grants too is that if they wait by the time they need it, they might not have anything, and they'll have to wait until April.
Well, that's why we were careful. If we do have you keep money in there for when people need it, and I mean, I'm where I'm at with it again.
think someone needs to make a motion, or,
Alright, so I'll give my same amount, and then we can discuss. I'll make a motion that we fund the Seneca Conservancy to $1,500 for their website project.
is there a seconder? Is there a seconder? Third and final time, is there a seconder? That motion has been lost. No, there could be another motion made, or we send them a letter that,
Which would also need to be a motion.
well, that's true, we send them a letter. So we need another motion.
I would make a motion to write them a letter, that we, at this time, due to our, community grants constraints, it would be better if it came at a later date, but when we're later on into the project, and maybe refer them to Digby Tourism that could help them set up a Facebook events page and calendar, or an Instagram. Like this, I'm just picking Facebook because I know it, but there's many, many other free ones. Councilor Jones alluded to Microsoft, and maybe that team can help them. Maybe we can write it that way, and that would be some guidance. And then once they get the events going, then they come back with an ask. I'm not saying no, it's just for this project they have given us. Well, I can't justify giving taxpayers money to it.
Okay, whoa, I'll stop you right now. The motion is.
Yeah, sorry, I got off. Yeah.
You went off. Okay,
Sorry.
the motion is that we
send a
write,
response. Motion
to send a response letter. There.
Response letter.
Is there a seconder?
I will second that.
Okay, further discussion? Remember, you can vote yea or nay.
Yeah,
All in favor?
Uh,
Contrary minded?
I think we should support, at least at this point, we should give some public support.
All right, the next is the 12-month notice to the NSFM and the AMANS from the province. Just let me remind you it's there. The next, I know that Joan has another meeting that she's trying to get to, and she's doing a presentation there. So I'm going to ask you for your report and then take off, please. Thank you for staying.
My report's around. Okay, I continue to attend all regular council and committee meetings. I'm present at both Bear River Fire Department, Smiths Cove Fire Department breakfasts, as well as the Thursday coffee in Smiths Cove and the monthly Seniors Day at the Bear River Community Wellness Clinic. I serve the community kitchen in Bear River at least 2 to 3 times a month, and right now they're serving close to 100 people every second week and 75 regularly every week. I'm hearing concerns raised about grant money spent on cats once we put out our little notice, when people are going hungry in the community. Property valuations are too high and not a realistic reflection of the individual property. We need wider shoulders on the road or bike paths so that people can actually travel from area to area without putting their life at risk. And there was a suggestion, and I have redirected individuals to the correct contact information where appropriate. And there was also a few who thought volunteer rewards that are restricted to the area that the resident lives in cuts off the many volunteers that we have that live just outside our area, but do all of the volunteering in the municipality, and that they should be eligible to at least be considered for those volunteer awards. And that way it would be inclusive of all volunteers.
That's something we'll have to take back to Derek and discuss, but I know we've discussed it before. And then it puts someone who lives in Halifax that says, well, I think we should nominate them.
when they come down, they do all their volunteering down here. I mean,
I
think
mean, it's stuff we've got to look at again.
it's how you word it, I think, probably. I attended the NSFM meeting in Yarmouth and had the opportunity to network with councillors and politicians from other areas of the province. I did several shifts at the Tim Hortons during Smile Cookie Week. Actually, it was good fun, and I think it was a successful fundraiser for both groups, as far as I've heard. I attended the TN's strategic planning session. They've got 6 pillars. One is destination sustainability, where they're looking to align resources to support off-peak product development and business viability, so that it's a 365 day of the year opportunity. Human excellence and tech innovation, and that's working to improve the workforce development initiatives to enhance retention and leverage some of the digital tools that are available. Policy alignment, which is the collaboration between communities and government and industry to maximize the effect of the use of the resources and minimize duplication efforts. Community wealth and well-being, which is grounded in the natural and cultural strengths and the idea of prioritizing resident and community well-being in the decision making. And global competitiveness, looking at sustainable growth and business profitability, looking at expanding the market share domestically as well as internationally. And they're going to start tracking what's happening through visits and revenue statistics so that they can more accurately report what's happening. And they're looking at the number of accommodations year-round, number of business startups and survival rates, employment, and employee retention. I also met with the Bear River Board of Trade and Chris Donfremont. And it was an interesting meeting because they were looking at funding opportunities. And that day in particular, we got a heads up on some of the announcements that were made that afternoon. Bear River, interestingly enough, is planning a similar food store kind of venture that is happening down the neck. So I suggested that they might want to connect with Tim Long and his wife, that we maybe don't need to be duplicating all of these things, but maybe connecting and working cross purposes. Volunteerism was raised and suggested that perhaps the government look at potential tax credits for volunteers like firefighters get, and that might stimulate more people to volunteer for various things. Some of the things that were mentioned was there's a Community Strong Fund and a Rural Communities Fund that will have opportunities for transportation improvement to First Nation areas. And the National Research Council does offer technical support opportunities for the groups that are looking for it. Some of the grant portals are not open, but are supposed to be open by the first week of June. Attended Seniors Day, and the conversations there were about using some of that program time to do chats about days past and history of the area, with the idea of creating a project to preserve some of the history stories and pictures of the area in a digital format. We'll see how that pans out and works through, but that's one of the things they're looking at. And that's the data AGM is tonight, and that's where I'm headed off to from here.
Thank you very much. Stuart, would you like to go next?
Yeah, committee meetings, going the past month, committee meetings, council meetings. Also attended the NSFM in Yarmouth on Thursday and Friday, the end of May, or the end of April. Attended the Weymouth Village Commission had a meeting with concerned citizens about the sidewalk and increasing the tax rate. They were to meet with Chris Donfremont, I think, last week. And I haven't heard what came out of that, or whether they agreed to put up a tax rate at the sidewalk too.
So what what did the people that were there think?
They wanted more information, and they weren't really, all gung ho about paying another couple $100 a year on their taxes for the sidewalk. And there was, a few for, a few that for, a few against it. They just wanted a little more information. And maybe a second quote. They only had the one quote. And I'd also mentioned earlier about maybe contacting the town about them doing some of the grunt work and instead of, maybe getting a cheaper price. That's about it.
Okay.
Other than the roads got graded and everybody's happy.
All right.
For now.
Yeah, that's always nice. Peter.
All right, so, I had a few discussions with, residents about, road priorities, trying to gauge what are the needs for the upcoming discussion, June 2nd. Also had a few discussions with, some people in Tiverton, complaining about conditions, of the signage and state of the road there. Interestingly enough, these past 2 weeks have yielded a lot of road discussions. So that prompted a call to public works to resolve their behavior issue in Tiverton, opening and taking to trim all their growth and abandoned these ferry wharf. Also repair of those road shoulders there, which are in pretty bad shape. There's also an update to the Freeport Village Commission regarding the intersection sign that we brought up, I think, actually 5-6 months ago now. I still need an update on this. I'll have to find out where this is at. Then after the conversation with Sandra last time here, and that mention of people looking into creating a virtual store, so I connected the people there in our area who are working on this. There are at least three different groups that either have an idea or are working at some at different stages in something like that. And then the spring conference as well, and some coaching and help for residents looking to obtain grant funding.
Okay, Mr. Deputy Warden.
I attended the spring NSFM conference in Yarmouth. I attended many sessions and engaged with many other councillors, including yourselves. The next day, I volunteered at Tim Hortons to make small cookies to help raise money for the Digby Area Recreation and Smithsville Fire Department. After a lengthy bylaw meeting and public works meeting, I tried to attend Brighton Barton AGM meeting. I did catch the very end and had a chance to talk to the volunteer firefighters. Last weekend, I did attend Celebration of Life for former MLA Junior Terrio. It was very well attended, as you can imagine. Junior had a very large, loving family and plenty of friends. I've attended bylaw and committee meetings. I've been getting a lot of calls about garbage and garbage dump sites. I will be asking to add this to a future meeting.
Just send it to Richard.
No, I think we need to sit down and have a talk about it. I'm getting complaints of many dump sites. Like, we don't need another Digby salvage. We have one. So,
We'll put it on whenever's available in our next bylaw and policy. Is that okay?
Just send an email.
I'll send an email to you. I've seen a lot of pictures and people have been sending me stuff and all.
Here are the needles to show us people are not happy with it.
Yeah, I think we all could sit and talk about all that stuff.
For me, I attended the spring workshop in Yarmouth as well, talked to many. I also have attended my meetings, but then I went to the SWANA National Conference, and I just returned, and there's lots of information that we will be talking about at our waste check meeting. It was super enlightening, and listening to the producers' responsibilities in other provinces, and I'm thinking, we're all supposed to be the same, except we're ahead in some things. So our government, our province has got to listen. I mean, sharks are not in it in Nova Scotia. In other places, it was, the conference was super interesting, and we had one of our speakers from Nova Scotia was there, and she did a fabulous talk about the responsibilities of the producers and what we're doing in our committee, our Fridays committee. It was well attended, and the information was phenomenal. I didn't think I wasted my time. You know how sometimes you'll go somewhere and go and talk about food. Now, what I did find hard was the time, because they want us to have lunch or breakfast. I mean, breakfast. Have breakfast. Well, it was noon.
Yeah.
And you can start looking at places to try to find breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning there. Nobody does breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning. And, supper at 10 o'clock at night was not my thing either, because I like supper by 6.
So you mean it felt like 10 o'clock at night? That's what you're saying?
It was. I mean, my watch never changed time. My phone did, and that's what I went by. My phone when I'm looking, and I'd be looking like, But I did win the Canada Spirit Award.
For the whole country.
Yep.
Did you win it?
I
Did
won.
they do a draw? Did you
No.
always win a draw?
No. We were asked to dress in a theme, either Olympian or Canada Spirit. And I dressed with a red top, white pants, blinky earrings with the Canada on them, a little hat with, not a hat, a barrette thingy with the thing with the flag. I had on Canada socks, Canada scarf, and I won.
There you go. All right.
Pardon me? I heard ya. But that was fun, and like I said, I'm just back, and I'm already dealing with some concerns of some constituents already. Little things like reading last year's, they thought it was this year's, and so that's one thing we got to make sure people understand what we're talking about. Yeah. Thanks to our CAO for pointing that out to me, because oh my gosh, they said they read it, and I couldn't find what they were talking about. Yeah, but people are getting all excited, and otherwise, I'm looking forward, and I'm leaving for a recreation conference in a few minutes. Do we have any in camera tonight? I didn't see anything, so there is no in camera. So would someone like to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a seconder? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded?